This is when I open it up to in the top. Look at that.
There's bacon. One. This is the real deal.
When a tech billionaire says certain canned foods should be outlawed, the grocery aisle starts to feel like a crime scene. In 2025, headlines keep circling the same fears. Sky-high sodium, nitrite-driven cancer risks, mercury creeping up the food chain, BPA-style liners that still meddle with hormones, and wild-caught labels masking troubled waters. If the label is clean but the supply chain is dirty, is dinner still safe? If a can sits pretty for 5 years, what does it do inside a 65-year-old body taking heart meds? And here's the gut punch question. When rules say legal, does that mean harmless for those living on tight checks and tighter arteries? This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. Tonight we pull the newest findings from 2024 and 2025, then follow the breadcrumbs to the shelf you trust most. Elon Musk reveals, these 7 canned foods should be outlawed. Ready to open the can or close it for good? Number 1. Chef Boyardee Beef Ravioli. You'd think a can of beef ravioli under $1 wouldn't be the thing that makes you question everything. But here we are. Chef Boyardee has long been America's fallback meal. Cheap, filling, fast. It promises real beef. No preservatives, and the kind of convenience that makes you feel like you're getting away with something. No dishes, no planning, no fuss. Just heat it and pretend dinner didn't come from a metal tube. It's the kind of shortcut retirees, fixed-income households, and exhausted caregivers have relied on when money and energy both run thin. But what's hiding behind that nostalgic red label? In 2024, Consumer Reports dropped a quiet bombshell. Chef Boyardee's beloved beef ravioli was contaminated with phthalates, industrial chemicals used to soften plastics, not season your pasta. These chemicals have been tied to hormone disruptions, developmental issues in children, and even links to early puberty and lower testosterone. You won't find them on the label, you won't taste them, but they're there, seeping silently from the can's lining into your meal, one bite at a time. So much for no preservatives. What do you call it when the danger is invisible and unlisted, and just when you thought that was the worst of it, the meat comes into question? In 2025, a report by Food Integrity Watchdog revealed that much of the real beef was imported from facilities in Brazil and Argentina, flagged for unsanitary conditions and salmonella risks. The USDA knew. But you? You had no idea, unless you happened to read through vague federal compliance codes written like a crossword puzzle. So yes, the beef is real, just not the kind most folks would feel comfortable feeding their grandkids. Now let's talk sodium. One can contains nearly 1,000 milligrams of salt, almost half your daily limit, packed into a portion size that wouldn't satisfy a teenage boy. If your doctor has warned you about hypertension, this isn't dinner. It's sabotage in a can. And yet Conagra, the company behind it all, continues to wave the "we follow FDA" guidelines. Flag like that's supposed to mean something. Regulations are slow, loopholes are many, and companies know how to tiptoe just inside the lines. But if a product is technically legal while quietly wrecking your health and betraying your trust, who's really winning here? Now let's be real. Just eat organic isn't a realistic option for everyone, but better choices do exist. Amy's Organic Ravioli, for instance, uses BPA-free cans and certified organic beef. Yes, it's more expensive, around $2.50, but when it goes on sale at places like Target or Sprouts, the gap narrows. Or get a little creative. Buy Rana or Whole Foods 365 frozen ravioli, toss them in low-sodium sauce, and freeze individual portions. Even Aldi's Simply Nature line or Dollar Tree's new frozen options now offer meals with clearer sourcing and more honest labeling than some name brands. Here's the simple test. If a can won't tell you what lines it's made with or where the beef came from, why trust it at all? Chef Boyardee may sell us a can of comfort, but in 2025, comfort shouldn't come with a side of hidden chemicals and mystery meat. Are we warming up dinner or warming up to danger without even knowing it? Number 2. Armor Star Vienna sausages. They say big problems come in small packages, but who would have guessed the most unsettling health trap could come in a can that fits right in your palm? Armor Star Vienna sausages have been riding shotgun in lunch bags, pantry shelves, and emergency kits for decades. They're cheap, they're salty, they last forever, and for folks stretching $1 until it screams, they seem like a practical miracle. No refrigeration, no cooking, no cleanup. Just pop the lid and pretend that pale, squishy meat floating in cloudy broth counts as protein. It's survival without the hassle. Or so we thought. Fast forward to 2025, and that little can reads more like a chemical confession than a food label. According to a report from the American Nutrition Transparency Initiative, over 40% of what you're eating is mechanically separated chicken. MSC for short. Sounds sterile, but here's the real image. Poultry carcasses forced through high-pressure sieves that crush bones, cartilage, and even spinal tissue into a smooth, pink paste. It's not meat, it's what's left when meat is gone. And when labels hide this behind familiar words like chicken and pork, how are you supposed to know you're eating bone puree with a hint of nerve tissue? Now layer on the sodium nitrite. The same report found that multiple batches of Armour Vienna sausages contained levels that pushed past 200 parts per million, just under the legal ceiling, but way beyond what many experts today say is remotely safe. Sodium nitrite keeps meat looking pink and fresh, but the World Health Organization now lists it as a probable human carcinogen. Pair that with the 790 milligrams of salt in each tiny can, and you're looking at a slow-boiling health risk that's been dressed up as convenience food. And here's what no label ever shows you: the labor behind it. In 2024, a human rights audit exposed brutal conditions at processing plants in the southeastern US, the same region where many Armour products are made. Undocumented workers reported being injured by caustic sanitizers, punished for bathroom breaks, and forced to meet unsafe production speeds. One worker even said, "It's like we're cleaning trash, not making food." That one sentence hits harder than any sodium stat ever could. Then there's the texture, the unnerving softness that lets you smear the sausage like butter. That's not comfort. That's the byproduct of excessive brine, food starches, and chemical stabilizers designed to make something unappetizing just soft enough to swallow. It's not cooking, it's cosmetic surgery on scraps. It's enough to make you pause mid-bite, but you're not stuck. For those with room in the budget, Wild Planet's wild tuna in extra virgin olive oil offers nothing but clean protein, tested for mercury, and packed without preservatives. It's around $3.50 a can, but you're paying for integrity. Want something closer in texture? Trader Joe's chicken sausage bites are made from real meat, low in sodium, and nitrite-free, usually under $3. And for ultra-affordable swaps, low-sodium canned beans with a splash of olive oil and a shake of smoked paprika can bring rich, hearty flavor. No chemicals, no bone paste. So yes, Armour Star still sells the illusion of endurance, meat that outlasts the fridge and the month. But here's the question we should be asking in 2025. If your food lasts longer than your health does, what exactly are you preserving? Number 3. Bush's Best. Canned black beans. It's hard to find a food that feels as trustworthy as a can of Bush's Best black beans. They're the quiet heroes of countless pantries, plant-based, protein-packed, and easy on the wallet. For older Americans making every grocery dollar stretch, a can under $1.25 is a reliable staple. No refrigeration needed, no complicated prep. Just open, rinse, heat, and serve. They've been hailed by nutritionists, home cooks, and even budget-conscious vegetarians as one of the safest, smartest food choices in the canned aisle. But in 2025, that trust was quietly shaken, one spoonful at a time. In February of that year, the Clean Food Alliance released findings that stopped people mid-grocery list. After testing over 120 canned legumes from major retailers, they found Bush's Best black beans contained glyphosate residue at levels over 300 parts per billion, almost 6 times what the Environmental Working Group considers safe for long-term intake. Glyphosate is no harmless backyard weed killer. It's the active ingredient in Roundup and has been linked in court to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. The World Health Organization has labeled it a probable human carcinogen, and now somehow it's soaking into one of the most trusted beans in America. What's worse is that it wasn't just a one-time blip. Multiple batches from different plants, across different dates, all showed similar results. This wasn't an accident, it was business as usual. The culprit? A farming shortcut. Glyphosate sprayed right before harvest to dry out crops faster. Legal? Technically, yes. But safe? That's where things start to rot from the inside. Beans that undergo minimal processing carry those residues right into your kitchen. And your body. Bush's parent company responded with the usual PR shield. We meet FDA standards. But those standards are embarrassingly lax compared to Europe, where even a fraction of that glyphosate level would get a product pulled from shelves. So yes, Bush's beans are legal. But legal doesn't always mean safe, especially if you're a senior, someone recovering from cancer, or managing a chronic illness. For many, this isn't just about beans, it's about trust, and trust doesn't come in parts per billion. As if that weren't enough to digest, the report also flagged BPA-based linings still used in certain Bush's cans. BPA, an endocrine disruptor, is slowly being phased out across the industry, but Bush's has kept consumers guessing. They haven't publicly disclosed which products are BPA-free and which still rely on the old epoxy lining, so unless you're a chemical detective with a can opener, you might be getting more than just black beans. Still, giving up beans entirely isn't the answer, especially when there are better choices right next to them on the shelf. Eden Organic, black beans for instance, use BPA-free cans and are certified glyphosate-free. They even cook their beans with kombu seaweed instead of adding salt. Yes, they cost more, around $2.25, but discounts at Sprouts or online make them more reachable. Whole Foods 365 brand also offers BPA-free, low-sodium options for closer to $1.50. And for those who want total control, dry black beans from Costco or a local co-op are still one of the best deals in town. Soak them overnight, toss them in a slow cooker, and you'll have 5 cans worth of clean, safe beans for about the price of 2. So next time you reach for that familiar can with the friendly font and wholesome promises, stop and think. Are you about to nourish your body or invite a chemical you never agreed to? Because the most dangerous ingredients aren't always the ones with scary names. They're the ones that slip through the cracks while we're not looking. Number 4. Spam, classic luncheon meat. Some foods survive because they're delicious, others because they're cheap. But Spam has survived because it's both, and because it feels like home to anyone who's ever fried up a slice next to scrambled eggs on a cold morning. It's canned resilience. Since the 1930s, Spam has been feeding American families through war, recession, and whatever comes after the Social Security check runs out. At under $3 a can in 2025, with a shelf life that rivals Twinkies, it's become a fallback in kitchens across the country. But here's the thing, comfort shouldn't come with a warning label, and when you start reading the fine print on that familiar blue can, things stop feeling so cozy. According to a March 2025 analysis by the American Heart Health Foundation, Spam Classic clocks in at 790 milligrams of sodium per 2-ounce serving. Sounds manageable, until you realize that one can holds 6 servings. That's more than 4,700 milligrams of salt. To put it plainly, eating the whole can is like swallowing a salt shaker and hoping your blood pressure won't notice. If you're managing hypertension, kidney concerns, or heart problems, Spam isn't food, it's a dare. Then come the preservatives. Spam uses sodium nitrite to preserve its pink color and extend shelf life. But sodium nitrite has been listed by the World Health Organization as a probable human carcinogen. Once digested or heated, it can morph into nitrosamines, nasty little compounds linked to colon and stomach cancer. A 2024 study out of Johns Hopkins found that regular consumption of processed meats like Spam raise the risk of early-onset colorectal cancer by 19% in people over 60. Here's the kicker. Nitrosamines are banned in baby pacifiers, but we still eat them for lunch? Now let's talk about the meat, or whatever they call it. Pork with ham sounds like something your grandmother might cook, but Spam offers zero transparency about where that meat comes from. Investigations in 2025 uncovered that Hormel, the company behind Spam, sources much of its pork from massive factory farms in Iowa and North Carolina. These places aren't rustic, they're industrial. Pigs are packed into barns like sardines, breathing in ammonia and loaded up with routine antibiotics. Practices that the World Health Organization warns could fuel antibiotic resistance. Hormel deflects by saying it's industry standard, but if the industry's broken, what does that say about the food and the texture? It's not magic, it's emulsification, industrial blenders whipping meat into a smooth pink paste, held together with modified potato starch and carrageenan. That last one is a seaweed derivative that's been linked to gut inflammation in multiple studies. One food scientist recently told PBS it was like Play-Doh but saltier. Not exactly the kind of review you'd put on a menu, but here's the good news. Better choices exist, and they won't cost you your health. Dax Premium Ham, available at Aldi or Amazon, is made from real ham cuts, lower in sodium, and free from nitrites. It runs about $3.50 a can. Shelf-stable, simple, and without the chemical confusion. Want even cleaner? Wild Planet Chicken Breast comes in BPA-free cans with no preservatives, no additives, and less than 250 milligrams of sodium per serving. Or if you've got freezer space, buy pre-cooked chicken strips in bulk, divide them into containers, and freeze. You'll still get convenience, but without the chemical gamble. Spam might still be a symbol of getting by, but in 2025, maybe getting by should include knowing what's in your food. If a can can sit on a shelf for 5 years, the real question is, what's it doing inside your body in the meantime? Number 5, Great Value, Canned Chicken Breast. At first glance, Great Value Canned Chicken Breast feels like a budget-friendly blessing in a world where grocery prices won't stop climbing. Found in almost every Walmart aisle from Oregon to Alabama, it promises 98% fat-free premium chunk chicken breast for under $2.50 a can. No refrigeration, no cooking. Just pop it open, drain the water, and toss it to a sandwich or salad. For seniors living on fixed incomes and families trying to stretch the last $30 of their grocery budget, it seems like a no-brainer. But in 2025, what's inside that blue-labeled can is beginning to look less like nourishment and more like a lab experiment gone rogue. A January 2025 investigation by Food Chain Forensics revealed something deeply alarming. Multiple samples of Great Value canned chicken tested positive for monensin and narasin. These are powerful antibiotics used to speed up growth in poultry and prevent parasites, but they are not approved for human consumption. Their presence in store-ready foods suggests either major regulatory gaps or blatant disregard for FDA-required withdrawal periods before slaughter. And while these levels weren't high enough to spark a recall in the US, they went far beyond what European regulators would allow. In much of Europe, this chicken couldn't even legally be sold. But that's just the start of the rot. In a whistleblower complaint filed in late 2024, workers at a facility supplying Great Value described stomach-turning conditions, processing lines moving so fast that employees couldn't wash hands between handling raw meat and finished product, expired sanitizers used on food equipment, and management allegedly turning a blind eye to contamination risks to avoid slowing down output. One worker said the plant felt like a meat blender with no off switch. The image alone is enough to make you put the can back on the shelf. Now let's talk texture. According to a 2025 analysis by Consumer Health Review, Great Value's so-called chunk chicken breast actually contained up to 30% mechanically separated meat and water binders. Translation: you're eating processed mush, muscle scrapings, chemically thickened broth, and additives like sodium phosphate, a compound linked to kidney strain when consumed regularly. You might expect chicken, but you're getting the culinary equivalent of damp cardboard dunked in salt water. And here's the kicker: the label doesn't tell you any of this. There's no information about how the chickens were raised, if they were pumped with antibiotics, or even where the meat comes from. That's because much of it is sourced from massive contract farms in the American South. Barns crammed with birds raised so rapidly that their bones can't support their bodies, living in ammonia-thick air and industrial silence. It's all perfectly legal. It's also deeply unsettling. Still, you're not without options. Wild Planet Organic Roasted Chicken, available at Target or online, offers BPA-free, antibiotic-free chicken that's sustainably raised and clean as it gets. It runs about $3.50, but you're paying for transparency, not trauma. Trader Joe's also carries canned white chicken with traceable sourcing and zero vague filler claims. Want to stay budget conscious? Buy frozen chicken tenders in bulk, bake them plain, shred them, and portion for quick meals. No weird thickeners, no antibiotics. Or pivot entirely and stock up on canned lentils or chickpeas, high in protein, fiber, and zero guilt attached. The label says Great Value, but here in 2025, the real question is, great for who? Because if it chips away at your kidneys, hides behind loopholes, and keeps you in the dark about where your food comes from, maybe it's time we stop calling that a deal. Number 6, Season Brand, canned sardines in oil. If that headline, Elon Musk Reveals, these 7 canned foods should be outlawed. Made your coffee go cold? This tin explains why. Season brand sardines have long worn a halo in the grocery aisle, rich in omega-3, packed with protein, easy on the wallet, and dressed up in old world charm. Under $2.50 a can feels like a small ticket to Mediterranean health. Wild-caught, hand-packed olive oil glossed. But in 2025, the shine cracked. Behind the pretty label sits a story of ravaged waters, trapped workers, and unwelcome residue that no one prints in friendly fonts. In May of 2025, Ocean Trace published a cross-border investigation that named season sourcing from Moroccan and Portuguese fleets, tied to vessels flagged for illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. These boats vacuum up juvenile sardines and hammer already stressed stocks, pushing coastal ecosystems toward collapse. One vessel cited for overfishing off Western Sahara in 2024 was linked to shipments received by Season's co-packers in less than 2 months. Call it wild caught if you want, but when the net scoops the nursery, what future are we canning? The human cost is just as bitter. The same probe documented migrant deckhands bound by coercive contracts, passports seized, wages withheld, months at sea with no contact and no recourse. While Americans fork flaky fish onto crackers at the kitchen table, someone halfway around the world is gutting those fish in silence, counting waves instead of hours. That is not heritage, it's a hush. And then there is the content. In March of 2025, the Global Mercury Initiative found seasoned sardines averaging 0.08 parts per million of mercury. Below the federal limit, yes, but brushing against the 0.1 parts per million zone where risk climbs for older adults and pregnant people. Add and trace microplastics detected in 4 of the 10 cans tested. Tiny proof that the ocean's trash becomes our dinner, and that budget protein starts to taste like a compromise. Even the oil can be slippery. In 2024, a Canadian recall flagged a shipment labeled olive oil that was actually diluted with soybean oil. Not recalled in the United States, but the trust took a dent you could see from aisle 5. So what now? You do not have to swear off fish to keep your conscience. And your body. Steady. Wild Planet sardines, though closer to $3.99, are sustainably harvested from the Pacific and tested for mercury with nothing but olive oil and salt. Safe catch. Elite goes further with lot-by-lot mercury screening and certified dolphin safe practices. Or change lanes entirely, low-sodium canned lentils or jackfruit in brine, or kissed with lemon and pepper, deliver fiber and satisfying heft without the heavy metals or moral hangover. The shift does not need a speech, it just needs a different reach of the hand. Season sells a story of tradition, sunlit harbors, and honest work. But in 2025, when nets raid nurseries, contracts shackle crews, and the lab finds more than fish in the tin, that romance curdles. Here's the question that should stop a can opener mid-twist. Are we nourishing ourselves, or quietly paying into a system that stinks worse than yesterday's catch? Number 7. Hormel. Spam classic. When a headline warns that certain canned foods should be outlawed, this is the blue tin that makes people set the can opener down. Spam classic has worn the badge of American practicality for generations, fried with eggs in a cast iron skillet, tucked into a white bread sandwich, or stacked on the pantry shelf like a little insurance policy against hard weeks. It is cheap, it keeps forever, and it promises sturdy. Protein with almost no work. That is the romance. Here's the turn. In 2025, the trusty block starts looking less like comfort and more like a health bill you pay in slow motion. Start with the salt. A single 2-ounce serving carries about 790 milligrams of sodium, and the can holds multiple servings. Eat with a generous hand and you can sail past 4,700 milligrams before the pan cools, well beyond what most doctors call a smart day. For folks managing blood pressure, heart strain, or kidney concerns, that is not a breakfast. That is a gamble you make with your arteries. Then comes the preservative problem. Spam relies on sodium nitrite to keep that cheery pink glow. Heat it, digest it, and you can form nitrosamines, compounds the World Health Organization calls probable carcinogens. New work out of Johns Hopkins in 2025 ties steady intake of processed meats to higher risks of colorectal and stomach cancers, a warning that lands hardest on older Americans who grew up trusting that this shelf-stable meat was on their side. One honest question, and make it count. If a substance is banned in baby items, why would we accept it in the lunch meat we fry for grandkids? Now follow the pig back to the barn. Investigations in 2024 showed a pipeline of pork from industrial farms where animals live packed tight, breathe ammonia-heavy air, and are dosed with routine antibiotics. The very practices, public health experts say, help breed drug-resistant bacteria. Workers told stories of speed-driven shifts and safety corners cut, a reality that looks nothing like the sunny ads. And about that smooth, uniform texture, it is not farmhouse craft, it is mechanical emulsification. Meat whipped into a paste and stitched together with modified potato starch and carrageenan, an additive flagged in research for irritating the gut. Imagine a county fair booth selling pork Play-Doh. That is the joke you wish were not so on the nose. If this all leaves a bad taste, the fix does not require a chef's knife. Just a better reach. Applegate and Peterson's Natural Farms make nitrite-free options from animals raised without routine antibiotics. They cost more, but you are buying clarity instead of questions. On a tighter budget, grab a store rotisserie chicken, shred it, and portion it into freezer bags for fast, honest protein all week. Frozen chicken breasts do the same job with even less salt and 0 lab book surprises. And if you want to skip meat without skipping satisfaction, keep canned chickpeas or white beans on hand. A quick mash with olive oil, lemon, and pepper turns into a sturdy sandwich spread that respects your wallet and your body. Spam's story is nostalgia and grit. A church basement potluck in a can. The truth in 2025 is tougher. Convenience can carry a quiet cost. The next time the skillet heats and the slices sizzle, ask yourself whether that familiar comfort feeds your strength or whether it is simply counting down inside you, one salty bite at a time. If this opened your eyes, stand with us, protect your plate, demand better. Subscribe, comment, and share to strengthen change.
Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our daily content. Now feel free to check out some of the newest and best videos currently shown on your screen. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.